My mother-in-law walked in on my husband and I on our wedding night, then played the victim the next morning. Okay. This was posted in the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. I, 25 female, just married my husband Mark. Buckle up, this is a long one. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, Ellie for short, has two sons, Mark and his younger brother, Brian. Brian is 23 for context. Ellie has always wanted a daughter, but unfortunately, she never had the daughter she always dreamed of. When Mark and I started dating almost 10 years ago, she immediately accepted me as her daughter, and I was grateful for that. I didn't have a great relationship with my own mother, so having that positive female role model to look up to at that age was nice to have. Fast forward to last year, Mark and I were talking about getting engaged. Mark had a whole proposal planned out and a perfect date that meant something to both of us, but also wasn't obvious, so I would be surprised. Surprising me was something that was incredibly important to Mark. About 2 months before the date, Mark, Ellie, and I were sitting in my in-laws' house talking about the engagement. I jokingly asked when it was going to be, then started listing every day from the current day until I got to the day. I was saying things like November 2nd, what about November 3rd, November 4th? And I kept going like this for a while.
Why would you do that?
When I finally got to the actual day, Mark kept his perfect poker face, but Ellie jumped in her seat and flashed a shocked look at Mark. What was she shocked? That you literally set out every single date on the calendar and then happened to come across the date where the proposal was supposed to be? I pretended to not notice and continued listing dates, but the damage was done. I now knew the date he had picked, and if he knew that I knew, he would be crushed. I tried to put the date out of my head, and on the day of, I decided to try my hardest not to think about Ellie's reaction to my guess and pretended like Mark and I were just going out on a regular old date. I met Mark at his parents' house, and Ellie immediately hugged me and started saying, "You're finally going to be my daughter." Oh, if I didn't know before, I knew then, but I continued to play dumb. I excused myself to use the restroom, and when I came out, I overheard Ellie talking to Mark, loudly pawing at his pocket saying, "Let me see the ring one more time before she comes out." I just sighed to myself and went back to the bathroom, this time to loudly open the door to alert them I was coming so they could stop talking about the ring. Mark had worked so hard to make this surprise for me, and I couldn't ruin it for him. So when he did pop the question, I just had to act surprised to spare his feelings. To this day, I don't have the heart to tell him I knew for months that Ellie had ruined the surprise. Obviously, I said yes, and the wedding planning began. Mark and I had talked for years about having a non-traditional wedding and just having my friend who was ordained sign the papers for us. I'm very much an introvert, so having a day that I was the center of attention was not a priority for me. I would have been okay with just me and Mark signing some paperwork in our PJs, but unfortunately, where we live, it requires witnesses to be legally married. We discussed going to the courthouse, but Ellie freaked out. Instead, she insisted we needed a real wedding. Before I could even think about it or agree to it, she got her church to send over availability and messaged her distant relative, who's a retired priest, to see if he would perform the wedding ceremony for free. I had never met this person before, and I felt very uncomfortable having a stranger at my wedding. Little did I know. But he had agreed to do it for free, so it was hard to say no. Her church also agreed to let us use the space for a major discount, so again, it was hard to say no to a money-saving opportunity. I told Mark that if I was going to go through with this real wedding, then the guest list needed to be under 100 or I simply couldn't do it. He agreed, and we started making a list of who we wanted to invite. Me and him made a list of the most important people, and we listed about 50. I thought this was perfect, but Ellie lost it. She was horrified we didn't invite any of her aunts, uncles, cousins, or distant relatives. She insisted that it was her son's wedding and she should have a say in her son's day. Her son's day. Okay, but like she's also making it about her and who she wants to be there.
That's the point.
Mark and I explained that I had never met any of those people, and many of those people Mark had never met, and we really didn't want people there we didn't know. See, this is the thing, like it's kind of hard to understand what someone's gonna be like at an event if you don't know them. It's kind of like having a house party and then like people inviting a bunch of randoms and like you're surprised that the house gets ruined or stuff gets stolen. Mind you, even people you know can behave in an unruly way. Ellie threw a tantrum that it's her family and we shouldn't exclude them, and her tantrum was so unbearable terrible that we agreed and added them to the list to shut her up. You know, the irony is that push and push and push to get like people invited, and then these people probably won't even show up. So annoying. Mark told me not to worry because he had a plan. We ended up picking a date that lined up with when all of her distant relatives go on vacation to Florida. So none of them could make it to the wedding.
Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
See, with situations like this, it's almost like you invite people to be polite, but you just like hope that they also like don't like you as much as you don't like them, and they'll just like not come because like who's gonna spend money on people they hate? Because we invited them, many of them felt obligated to send us a card with a check slipped in. Oh, nice little hack for you guys. So it did actually end up working out that we invited them, but it really sucked. Ellie felt the need to control our guest list. We didn't have to plan a lot. 100 invites and only around 50 RSVP'd yes, so it was a low effort wedding. I'm not a very girly girl, so I just decided to order a dress online. The dress was actually a steal because no one even guessed it was only $50. They thought I spent at least $1,000 at a bridal shop. I was very proud of my online find, but Ellie was livid. Why am I not surprised? She told me I betrayed her and robbed her of the experience of taking her baby girl wedding dress shopping. Okay, why again is she making this about her? I told her I didn't take anyone shopping, so she didn't miss anything. And it wasn't personal that I excluded her. I just don't enjoy shopping or dresses, and I wanted something quick and easy. She did not like that response. She demanded I send her pictures of me in the dress, and I said no. I was afraid she would show Mark, or worse, post it. I told her I wouldn't be sending pictures to anyone or even taking pictures of myself in it at all. She would have to wait for the day. Now for the wedding. When it came time for pictures, Ellie made herself the main character. We hired a family friend of mine who wants to be a photographer to do our pictures. She offered to do it for free, but we really believe that since she was providing a service, then she should be paid, and she was. Anytime the photographer posed us, Ellie would try to jump in front of her with her phone or call our attention to her so we would look at her phone and not at the photographer's camera. Oh my goodness. So many nice group pictures were ruined because no one knew what camera to look at. Okay, yeah, no. I'm sorry, but like if I'm paying someone for a service, I would also be like, okay, no, sorry, can you just let the photographer do their job? Or the photographer can also say, listen, can you just let me do my job? I see a lot of people pleasing going on in this one.
And that's not good.
If we refused to look at the camera, Ellie threw a tantrum and sometimes would physically push us back into place so she could get her shots too. Why? It's so shitty on a phone. It's so stupid. Just wait for the photos. God. No. She also stepped on my dress quite a few times in the process, and when confronted about it, stated that it wasn't her fault I picked something with such a long train. Bruh. At the actual ceremony, Ellie was mostly behaved. She sat in the front row with her phone out the entire time, sobbing. But she sobbed silently and stayed in her seat, so I can't complain. Before the reception could even begin, Ellie posted pictures of the wedding and announced the wedding before I even got a chance to. Oh Lord. This was a small wedding, so not a lot of people knew about it. I really wanted the chance to announce it, but she stole that opportunity. And not only that, but she posted the worst pictures because no one was looking at her phone and no one was properly posed.
That's gonna be a yikes for me, dog.
During the reception, we had the cake set up in the corner. It was so tucked away that there was only really space for me, my husband, and a photographer while we cut the cake. We snuck back with the photographer to cut the cake and get pictures, and Ellie screamed, "Wait, I'm not ready!" So what? While running across the reception hall trying to load up her camera. Oh my Lord. I'm trying to see it from her perspective, where she wanted a daughter. You know, obviously her son means a lot to her. She wants to be involved. But like this kind of overbearing, controlling attitude and like behavior, this is how you get estranged. We ignored her and she missed the picture she wanted. She demanded the photographer move out of the way so we could reenact the cake cutting so she could get the shot. But why though? Is it because she wanted to be the one to share it on social media first? As soon as she got her picture, she took her seat at the sweethearts table, not where she was actually supposed to sit, and demanded to be served. My husband and I decided to just serve the cake and use that as our time to walk around and mingle with everyone. Ellie was pissed she did not get to sit and eat the cake with her baby. We did not care, finally. After the reception, we had a barbecue back at my in-laws' house. We did this to accommodate the fact that my family doesn't drink, and his family drinks enough for both families. My family got an alcohol-free reception, then his got an alcohol-filled reception. Ellie got absolutely shit-faced. Oh Lord. Oh goodness. She drank to the point of throwing up, was an absolute roller coaster of emotions, cornered guests to flirt and cry and joke with, and God only knows what else. I've never seen her that drunk before. She was absolutely horrid. And for the whole barbecue, she stayed in her white dress, even after I changed out of mine. Hold on, she was in a white dress? How did I miss that? You didn't tell me that before. My husband and I had planned on spending the night at his parents' house in his childhood room because it was closer to the airport and we had to catch an early morning flight to our honeymoon. After the reception, I was absolutely drained. Very done with people and annoyed with Ellie's behavior all day, and I wanted to shower and go to bed. This is honestly my worst nightmare. The fact that your wedding day, like afterward, you're not like just like in complete bliss and like not wanting the day to end because it was such a beautiful experience, that is heartbreaking. I'm so sorry to hear this happen to you. You didn't even want this wedding. Like you didn't want the 50-person wedding. You would have been fine without it. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear. I'm a very modest person and I don't want to be in my PJs in front of other people. I don't wear anything super sexy or anything like that to bed, but definitely not anything I'm comfortable wearing in front of my in-laws. Before showering, I made sure my in-laws were in bed. And when I got out of the shower, my husband made sure she was still in bed. I came out of the shower, we went to his room, and I began changing out of my robe and into my PJs. While we were changing, my mother-in-law burst through the door. My chest was completely exposed, so I grabbed the robe and wrapped it around myself. To my horror, my mother-in-law was not only in the room, but in the room with her phone camera open, trying to get us to begin opening presents because she wanted pictures and didn't want my family friend hogging all the pictures. I was absolutely horrified and couldn't even speak. I curled up in a ball crying and just wanted to die. Oh, you poor thing. My husband was also speechless and he was also changing and partially exposed. I mean, the fact that you were just changing, I thought that there was something else going on, but even this is like so invasive. My mother-in-law was too drunk to even notice this fact. I finally looked at my husband and I just said, help. I could barely get that word out. He grabbed a towel and yelled at his mother to get out of the room and not come back. He came over to me and held me until I was able to calm down enough to be able to speak. He promised me that she was drunk and that anything she saw she wouldn't remember, but to this day, I still can't shake that violated feeling. She spent the next couple hours scream crying that we would treat her so horribly on her special day. Oh, absolutely not. No, she gotta go. It is one thing to be kind of overbearing and to like kind of insert yourself. You know, you can do those things out of love and out of like genuinely wanting a relationship and wanting to be involved. There are also plenty of mothers and fathers out there that couldn't be bothered to want to be involved. That's one side of the coin. But to barge in when someone is changing and to not apologize for that very blatant invasion of privacy and to then somehow play the victim in that situation, it's giving narc. Well, he was right. She was so drunk, she had no idea what she walked in on. The next morning, while we were trying to get out the door to catch our flight, she began crying about the way she was treated the night before. She said she was horrified that I would blow her off like that and not even look at her or speak to her. She couldn't believe I had made my own son yell at her the way he had the night before. I feel like in this situation, yelling is fair. Before walking out the door, I looked at her and I said, we were changing, we were naked. Sorry you didn't get to photograph my last night, and walked away. She began screaming, crying again, saying I was making that up to be dramatic. Sure, I'm the dramatic one. But we ignored her and left for our honeymoon. A week in paradise, Ellie texting us every day, demanding pictures. Sometimes we would reply, sometimes not. Usually not. We enjoyed our Ellie-free week. She has just never been the same. From the second engagement was on the table, she became a mother-in-law from hell. One good thing did come from this. I found you, Charlotte. Oh, you found me. I was looking for monster-in-law support and I found your YouTube page, then Reddit. Never thought I'd be a Reddit poster, but this nonsense just needed to be shared. I hope you all enjoyed the read. I did enjoy the read. I'm really sorry that this happened, but I gotta say, you're being a little bit of a people pleaser. I'm gonna need you to stand up for yourself. I know this was posted a while ago, so if you ever see this, OP, you're totally valid for feeling the way you feel. Please do not be afraid to like set boundaries. She's not gonna like it. Like be prepared for some backlash, okay? It's getting too far and you are not feeling comfortable anymore and you gotta stand on some business, okay? I care about you. I don't want you getting hurt anymore because this is bullshit. Okay, OP even responded in the comments. Someone said, stop being a doormat or I can guarantee she'll only get worse. Think about future pregnancies, grandchildren, or even something simple like home decorating. She acts like it's her second chance at everything and unfortunately y'all are allowing it. At least your husband sticks up for you, but it's time for you to stick up for yourself. You could have nipped this in the bud long ago. Hopefully she'll back down, but from the sound of it, I doubt it. Congrats on the wedding and good luck. I know you'll need it. OP responded, I'm a recovering people pleaser. I can tell. I'm working on being less of a doormat. I know I'm not completely innocent here, but she definitely took advantage. Thanks though. It's not about being innocent. Like you are trying to like keep the peace. I'm not like placing blame on you by saying saying that you're a people pleaser. People pleasing, like, it probably came from childhood. I know my tendencies did come from childhood, where you just want everything to be good. You're constantly just trying to keep the peace, trying to keep everybody else happy. But in exchange for keeping everybody else happy, you're also sacrificing your own happiness. I can tell you that there have been times where I've set boundaries and not been happy with the outcome. I've been scared to set boundaries because of people's reactions. But at the end of the day, there are a few people who are receptive to boundary setting, and you don't need to do it in a mean way, but I have felt better by doing it. I've felt like more at peace. If I'm driven to a point where I kind of have to be a bitch about it, like obviously that's not okay, but like people respect you more when you respect yourself, okay? So OP updated in the comments that they're in the process of moving far away and hoping that cuts some contact. It inevitably will. I think that's a good thing. Thank you for sharing, OP. That was a delightful story. My mother-in-law manipulated her way into my fiance's bachelor party. Why would you want to be part of that?
Why? Oh, that's why.
My fiance, 30, let's call him Luke, and I, 27, have been together for about 4 years. Our wedding is in September of this year.
Mine too. Congratulations.
Luke's mom, who we'll call Linda, is a special occasion visit only type of mom. She spends much of our visits complaining about how her sons don't make enough of an effort with her, guilt tripping them, and repeating her favorite phrase, "I raised you better."
Such a lovely person.
Despite never being a good enough parent or having a consistent role in her sons' lives as they were raised by their dad. Luke, his brother Corey, and I last saw Linda the weekend after Mother's Day. I won't go into details of that visit because it's not relevant to the story, but it was enough for me to tell Luke that it was my last Mother's Day with her. Must have been bad. One thing that did happen was Linda asking us what we were doing for Luke's bachelor party. Corey said that he and Luke's groomsmen rented an Airbnb and invited their closest friends for a night of drinking, cards, and hanging out until they fall asleep, which is Luke's idea for a perfect bachelor party. Much to my horror, Linda snobbily remarked, "You guys are going to invite Steve, her longtime boyfriend, right?" Linda has said more than a few outrageous things over the years, but this one surprised me. I was silently pleading with Luke or Corey to brush it off, but they meekly agreed that he could come. Linda is a difficult and explosive person, so they've never really been able to put up any boundaries with her. Something tells me she likes it that way. Since we only see her a few times a year, they say it's easier to just let her say what she wants and deal with it until the subject changes. But later, I said to Luke and Corey, they don't have to invite him, that it's weird for a stepdad figure to be at his stepson's bachelor party. Luke said he really didn't care, and Corey argued that he was more like a friend than a stepdad, so I let it go. After the bachelor party, I asked how it went and if Steve showed up.
Yeah, Mom went to drop him off and they both ended up staying for a few hours.
Luke said. What? Why do you even want to be there? Like, can't you just let them do their weird bro shit? I'm sorry, but the last thing that I would want for my like bachelor party, bachelorette party is for like mommy or daddy to be there. Like, that's an environment that's like, no. My eyes went bigger than any cartoon characters. The strongest forklift couldn't pick my jaw up off the floor. I asked if he was kidding, and he said he wasn't. I was in shock, but my poor, non-confrontational fiance was talking to me like we were discussing the weather. I understand like not wanting to put up boundaries, she's explosive and stuff like that, but at the same time it's like, come on now. Like, she shouldn't have even asked to come. She shouldn't have inserted herself like that. This is like boy time. Boy time. No mamas allowed. I asked why Steve wouldn't just come himself, hoping that Luke would see where I was going with that.
I don't know.
Luke shrugged his shoulders. Don't you think it was purposeful that she would have to attend your party too, after driving over an hour to get there?
I guess so.
What do you mean you guess so? I did slightly lose my mind, but I kept myself as composed as I could. This is like your basic run-of-the-mill mother that just kind of wants control. And I can understand that she like wants to spend time with him and stuff, but like a bachelor party is not where you're supposed to like work on your relationship with your son. I told Luke how inappropriate I thought it was for his stepdad to be at his bachelor party, let alone his mother. I argued that it's weird and not normal at all for mothers to want to attend their son's bachelor party. I said I was tired of her inserting herself into our lives where she's not wanted. I said it was clear that Linda was using their inability to set boundaries or tell her no against them. In her eyes, she's like, I want to spend time like with my son before he gets married marrying. I want to have a better relationship with him. But like, that is not the place to do it. Go out for dinner. Have something separate. Let him have like this. Cause like you only get one bachelor party and now he has to stay there with mommy dearest, counting how many shots he's doing. Absolutely not. Luke said he didn't think it was a big deal, that he didn't mind Steve being there. And he and Corey were too drunk to care that his mom was there. I tried to reiterate my problems with Linda's actions. I said it was less about what she did and more about her consistent, inappropriate, and manipulative behavior. I told Luke I was more concerned that their inability to put up boundaries would cause problems down the line, like when we have kids. There has to be a tone setting here for like, no. And no, by the way, is a complete sentence. Luke said he wasn't worried about it because he's never wanted her to be alone with his future kids. And he doesn't care about her underhanded insults or the way she tries to rewrite history or guilt them into visiting more. He basically just keeps telling me to let this go because he will never have another bachelor party. You will never have it, and your mom was there. Oh my God. On the other hand, I can see where Luke is coming from. We hardly ever see her. I do trust that Linda would never get our kids to herself. And clearly Luke and Corey's relationship with their mom has been working out for them so far. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to see her or they would put up boundaries with her. But I still can't help but have an eerie feeling that her behavior and their lack of boundaries will cause bigger problems one day. I mean, you're probably right. If she was there, they don't really care or whatever. Maybe they felt bad about sending her home. She drove really far. Like, that's one thing. But like, you can kind of set a boundary also with Luke that like she cannot be involved in certain things and there has to be a line and they have to articulate that, or maybe you have to articulate it, but like, I mean, she's probably not going to listen to you. Should I start to push my fiance to start putting up small boundaries with her, or would I be the a-hole if I did? No, I mean, I think that that's totally fair. I think that like maybe you wait to see if something else comes up, especially with regards to the wedding. So far you haven't really set any other examples in this of her behavior or her making things difficult. It was just a little inappropriate, quite frankly. But again, it's his bachelor party. So if he wanted her there, he felt bad about making her leave, then it's his choice, right? Edit, Luke is not a mama's boy. He does not like her behavior. He just finds it easier to just let everything go and not make it a big deal. I mean, okay, he knows her better than you. Edit 2, I understand why a lot of you are saying Luke is spineless, so I feel the need to defend or explain why. He used to stand up to her when he was a kid, but it was met with the A word. The last time Luke and Corey stood up to her was when they were 17 and 15 after an explosive fight. Okay, so I'm not gonna read out the issue, but let's just say, like for YouTube's purposes, that when they have set boundaries, she has responded by doing something incredibly bad to herself. Their inability to set boundaries isn't because they're spineless, it comes from a place of trauma. So yeah, it obviously is like they are afraid of like what she might do. And I can understand that, definitely. Like I've been in a similar position. Like that's also a control tactic as well. Not the a-hole, be prepared to be the one to put up the boundaries. And be prepared to be a one-woman army to keep those boundaries in place. Your fiance needs to sort through his trauma, either with you or better yet, with a professional. I'm very confused as to why he would want to be around her at that point. She's super messed up for doing that. I would have a hard time having a relationship with someone like that as well, but I can understand the internal conflict. I think that it's totally fair for you to make it clear that his mother needs to be kept in check. And unfortunately, it also kind of seems like you might have to be the person to do that. It also sucks that she seems to be someone that is around on like special occasions as well. So like, I'm wondering if special occasions are ruined by this person. I don't know. You wouldn't be the a-hole. Setting boundaries is not an a-hole move. And I think that's all we have time for today.